Blues Matters, we have Billy Branch. Where are you tonight, Billy?
Well, I'm in the parking lot of Costco in Chicago.
Excellent.
Yes, they're doing very exciting activities.
Have you been at the Blues for Schools today?
Yes, yeah, we're just coming from Blues in Schools.
Tell me all about that project. You've been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, I've been doing it since 1978, and it's a program which I've done in various capacities. Sometimes my whole band will travel to a location outside of Chicago, and they'll all participate in 4-week programs, but where all the students will learn harmonica and the others, some will go to the various instruments by my, taught by my band members, bass, guitar, drums, piano, and so forth. But the program I'm doing now is an 8-week program, 2 days a week, 1 hour, about 45 minutes a day. And it's at a predominantly African-American school on Chicago's West Side. And these youngsters are from 5th to 8th grade, and they will learn history. They'll learn to play the harmonica. They'll learn a few standard songs and learn how to compose their own songs, and then ultimately perform for their student body.
Right. What questions do you get asked there? What's the most popular question you get asked?
Oh, it depends. Sometimes they say, at this school, a couple of times they said, "Are you rich?" And my typical answer is that, in a manner of speaking, we're all rich. You count your blessings. But sometimes the kids will ask questions about different blues personalities like Willie Dixon and Little Walter, which we talk about a lot of the principal characters, musicians involved in the history of the blues.
Could you give us a condensed version of your career? What made you want to be a musician in the first place?
Well, it kind of just organically happened. I picked up the harmonica at about age 10 or 11. And I kept that harmonica with me all through my teenage years and up to when I returned here to attend my classes at University of Illinois. And the blues was all around. I knew nothing about the blues growing up in Los Angeles, but I haven't been born here. But the blues was everywhere, and you had all the greats. You had all the harmonica greats as well as the vocalists and guitarists. So we had Junior Wells, James Cotton, Carey Bell, Big Walter Horton, had One Arm John Rencher, Easy Baby, Jewtown Burks, Good Rockin' Charles, Golden Wheeler. They were just great, just a huge amount of wonderful artists at that time. And I got attracted to the blues bug bit me. And I was determined to learn the art form of Chicago blues harmonica. And I was blessed to have been taught by and mentored by the best that were alive at that time.
And are you from a musical family? I mean, what kind of music was going around at the time you're...
Well, in a manner of speaking, my father played in the Army. He actually played bass in the Army. He played tuba, but he ended up in the Korean War playing the bass. Found out many years, relatively recently, that my great-grandfather, who was an escaped slave from Missouri and established his general store in Coyne, Iowa, also played harmonica. And I found out that my grandmother, who raised me, unbeknownst to me, was a concert pianist and singer. And I did not know that until after she passed. Yeah.
And what made you choose the harmonica as an instrument?
Oh, no particular reason. I walked into the Woolworth's 5 and Dime store and saw this shiny instrument in a glass display case. And it was like a little voice told me I could play it. And I'd never seen anyone play one live. But as soon as I asked the clerk how much it was $1. I had $1. And as soon as I put it in my mouth, I could play practically any folk song or Christmas carol I could think of.
So you're totally self-taught?
Yes.
What kind of advice have you had from the likes of Junior Wells?
Well, they didn't advise me per se, but the way they taught me was through the process of head cutting, which is a term familiar in Chicago and probably various places, which means you learn by trial by fire. So you get on have if you got the nerve to get on stage with them or after them or before them, they try to blow you off the stage. In other words, that's how I learned. On the album Harp Attack, I have the autobiographical song New Kid on the Block, where we're all recalling those moments. And that's pretty much how I learned. It wasn't like, come here, young man, let me show you how to do this. It's, no, we're gonna blow you back to where you came from. But it wasn't hostile. It was, it was it's how you learned. And during those times, I say through the 70s and part of the 80s, there were so many great musicians in Chicago. I mean, you had Coco Taylor and you had Buddy Guy and Jr. and all the people I met, then Willie Dixon and Sunnyland Slim, Jimmy Walker, Detroit Jr., Homesick. I mean, there were just hundreds of great artists. And so I was blessed to have had the fortune to have played with them and recorded and toured with.
And where did you learn your stagecraft?
What do you mean, where did I learn it?
Your stagecraft. When did you first go on stage and think, yeah, this is for me?
Oh, I probably around 19. I started getting enough nerve to get on stage around 1970 or 71, something like that.
And do you get nervous when you go on stage still?
Sometimes, yeah, I have nervous energy, and the general consensus is that nervous energy is good for a performance because it's that adrenaline pumping, I mean, as many thousands of times as I've been on stage, it's still always the challenge that you've got to make this audience like or love what you're about to do.
And growing up in Chicago, what kind of clubs were you playing?
What do you mean? What kind of clubs?
What blues clubs did you play in?
Well, there was Teresa's Lounge, there was the Checkerboard, Peppers, the Queen Bee, and then the Sons of Blues, my band, we played at probably a dozen clubs on the South Side, which means in predominantly African American neighborhoods. Over the years, we had residencies, which was rare because by the 70s and the 80s, Black folk were not in mass comprising the audience of the blues. In other words, most of the blues clubs had moved into the white areas after the 80s, but we sustained a nice mixture over the decades, which was kind of an accomplishment because unfortunately, the Black audience had been separated from the blues partially because there wasn't much blues being played on the radio anymore.
And Rosa's Lounge. When did you first play in Rosa's?
42 years ago. We played the grand opening.
And now you've made a record on Rosa's Lounge label.
Right. The Blues Is My Biography, which we released 3 singles, yes.
How did that come around?
Well, it was time to record, and over the course of years since my last album, which has already been, 6-7 years ago now, we decided this is what my next project would be called, or Rosa decided. And, the songs, a couple of songs I had ideas about, partially written. The Begging for Change, which is kind of the centerpiece of the album, but Ronnie Baker Brooks and myself, we co-wrote that song, and Ronnie put together the arrangement.
Right.
And then, of course, Shemekia joins me on the vocals.
Yeah.
And so it was just, a natural evolution of sorts. This was, I feel like, a statement that reflects a lot of my personal views and personal outlook on various topics.
And where do some of the songs come from? I mean, have you got a songwriting process as such? I see there's a lot of collaboration.
Well, I mean, there's no formula. You get an idea, and if you think it's a good one, you Sometimes you write a line or two, then you step back and come back, write another couple of lines. It's a lot of it was inspired. The Million Man March song I wrote when the Million Man March happened about 30 years ago. So, but there's no formula to it. It's just you write as you feel.
Yeah. And hole in your heart,
Hole in your soul.
hole in your soul, sorry.
Yeah.
Talk about that with your man, Bobby Rush.
Yeah, Bobby Rush was gracious enough to be my guest on that, and he did a fantastic job, both vocally and took a great harmonica solo.
Where did Call Your Bluff come from?
That was written by a former drummer, Andrew Blaze Thomas, who has put aside his musical career during his quest to obtain his PhD.
Right.
Yeah.
And Dead End Street.
That was a Lou Rawls song that was one of my favorites as a teenager. I rewrote the monologue to reflect my personal history and observations. But it's a song I always enjoyed coming up, one of my all-time favorites.
And The Blues Is My Biography.
Yeah, well, that kind of is self-explanatory to a degree. It's a personal statement as well as a metaphor.
And what keeps you motivated to do what you do?
Gotta eat. I mean, this is my job. This is what I do. But in addition, it's very fulfilling to be able to make a living doing what you love and being creative, seeing the smiles and cheers and laughter and applause all around the globe, being able to perform for audiences who may not understand the lyrics, but certainly grasp the meaning and the feeling of what you're doing.
They'll certainly get the meaning of begging for change.
Yeah, that song again. I'd had that song kind of. I had a sketch of it for probably the last 5 years or more, and it is a song we feel that has the potential to be a global anthem because we look around the globe and you can see that people are very unhappy with their current governments, and they're feeling abandoned or abused or persecuted in many cases. And you don't have to look far to see what's happening here. People are just not satisfied with what's happening to them politically, economically, social economics either,
And real good friends.
Yeah, well, it's your real good friends will stab you in the back. What can I say? it's sad, but it's true.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Rosa's telling me don't mention any names. The old saying, it ain't your enemies it's your friends that can hurt you because they're the ones closest to you. They know all your stuff.
I take it that has happened to you then. Yeah, I take it that's happened to you.
I'm sure. Hasn't it happened to you?
Oh, yeah.
All right, then. Then you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Well, that's the one thing. See, that's one thing about the blues. And we have a mantra that we repeat several times in the blues in schools. And it's a call and response. And I say, why are we here? To sing and play the blues. What are the blues? Well, I use one of Willie Dixon's definitions, the facts of life. And what makes the blues so important? They are history, our culture, and the roots of America's music. But the facts of life just merely puts the blues in the perspective that whatever you're going through can be put into a blues song. And that's universal. I dare say I feel like the blues is the most universal music that exists because, again, in spite of language barriers, it's that feeling, the groove. It's very simple, but it's very powerful. 3 chord changes, 1, 4, 5, all in response, Call it Stormy Monday. Tuesday's just as bad. You repeat it. Call it Stormy Monday. Tuesday's just as bad. And the third line that rhymes. Wednesday's worse. Thursday's also sad. But those 3 lines of those 12 bars can have a very powerful impact when the music and the lyrics are right. And people can relate to it. See, a lot of times people can't relate to jazz because it goes over their head. Same thing with classical music. It's, and of course, when you talk about hip hop and rap, that's for a certain generation, basically, primarily. But the blues which is the roots, which spawned all of America's music from country, gospel, hip hop, rap, rock and roll. It's simple in its structure, but very powerful in its impact. Because when you get one of those blues shuffles, you can't help but pat your feet.
Well, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And are you allowed to talk about toxic love?
Well, Rosa and I both co-wrote that. And not that it's a reflection on our personal relationship, but, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced what you might call toxic love. Love, there's another song Lou Rawls does, love is a hurting thing. And again, that's the facts of life. You think, oh, love is la-di-da, and you wander off into the sunset and the rainbow. It might be like that for a minute, but it's got its ups and downs. There's gonna be blues and love as well.
It has to be.
Yeah.
And Return to the Roaches, the last song.
Yeah, well, that's the return of the Roaches. In the 80s, on an album called Mississippi Flashback, we had a song called Roaches. And you can still listen to it. It's on YouTube. Go Billy Branch, Roaches. And so my producer, Larry Pattis, who did a stellar job, he was just a joy to work with. I feel that because of our collaboration, this album came out as well as it did, because he comes from the R&B kind of funk side, going back to the 70s and the 80s. So his arrangement, a lot of, all the horns in the background are done by him. And matter of fact, he participates as one of the background vocalists. But he heard the original Roaches and said, man, we got to redo this. I said, man, that was 40 years ago when I recorded. I said, I can't play like that anymore. He says, I don't want you to. He said, we want to do a different version. So it still was not the easiest thing to execute, but I think it came out nicely. So we call that Return of the Roaches. And you can hear some of the similar themes, musical themes, as in the original.
How long did it take to make the album?
Well, it took, we recorded 4 tracks in Oakland and then 7 tracks in Chicago. So it took, it was probably close to a year, wasn't it? Yeah, I think close to a year. And we feel very good about this project. I personally think it's one of the best things I've ever put out, principally because it's more personal. Out of the 11 songs I wrote or co-wrote, 9 of them. And I think the musicians did a stellar job. Larry did a fantastic job in arranging and producing. And we're just very happy as to how it came, how it turned out.
How many songs have been road tested?
You mean performed live?
Live. I mean, I got the honor of seeing the Begging for Change, and I thought it was up.
Yeah. We've done Begging for Change, we've done Toxic Love, we've done Harmonica Man, and we've done Hole in Your Soul. And I think we've done Your Real Good Friends as well. Yeah.
What about Harmonica Man? How did that come about?
Yeah. What about it?
How did that one come about?
Well, I mean, that's who I am. I mean, all my life, and I continue to do this. I always have harmonica at the ready, and it's not uncommon if I'm walking through an airport and there's a musician. Chances are I might join that musician. Say, hey man, you know any blues, or what key are you in? And my former college friends will all tell stories on campus. I'd break out that harmonica in the lunchroom. I'd play it on the subway train. I'd play it on the bus. I play it on the streets. And I still do that. I might be at a dinner at a nice restaurant, and it's recently when I was in Oakland, it was a party sitting at an adjacent table, and they were celebrating one of the family members' birthday, which I think she was like 96. So I took out my harmonica and played Happy Birthday for her. And they loved it, and I still do that. And I used to go through the streets, through the neighborhoods, and the kids would say, hey, Harmonica Man, you going to come back? And I said, yeah, and I would. So that the harmonica has been with me most of my life. And as I admonish other harp players and would-be harp players, I always say, don't leave home without it.
Right.
Because one of the few instruments that you can carry with you and have at the ready at all times.
What advice do you give to up and coming musicians? Best
Well,
advice.
I would say if you're going to learn the blues, do your history, do the research for one thing, and then listen, study, and practice. It depends on what your goal is. I was fortunate because I got to learn firsthand from Big Walter, from James Cotton, from Carey Bell, from Junior Wells, from One Arm John Rencher. Again, not that they sat me down and taught me, but they knew that I was there to learn and listen. And in their own way, I felt that they encouraged me, that they gave me the green light. And the proof in the pudding was when Harp Attack was produced and Bruce Eaglar assembled Cotton Jr. and Carey Bell and told them we need a fourth harp player. And they all said unanimously, get Billy. And that's one of the finest accolades that I can count throughout my career.
Yeah, I mean, you've had so many awards in your career. What actually does success mean to you as an artist?
Well, success is being able to perform. Of course, you can't be successful without financial success, but being able to perform on a high level in premier venues, premier showcases, festivals, concert halls, and what have you. And also having a successful recording that um, gets ample airplay and that is received well by the listeners and hopefully sells a lot of copies.
Absolutely. How
Yeah.
how do you get your music out there? Are blues stations still as many blues stations now as there was when you started playing?
Well, in a sense, there's more blues stations because you have the internet now. And, most radio stations are internet based as well as, broadcast through the traditional way, through radio airwaves. But so in a sense we didn't have Sirius Bluesville back in the day. So you've got one 24-hour station on satellite radio. Because, contrary to popular belief, never were a lot of blues stations anywhere. Chicago had one, WVON, with Purvis Spann, the blues man. And most of the blues stations were college stations or very low watt broadcasts.
Yeah, there are so many platforms to get your music out there now.
Yes.
You've got streaming things and YouTube.
Yeah.
Videos.
Did you listen to the whole album? You haven't, didn't you, Colin?
I have.
Yeah. How did you feel about it?
I think it's excellent. You've got different styles there, which I like.
Yeah.
What do you like about it?
Well, I mean, it's fresh, it's original, and I feel like everyone involved did a superb job. And it's not what you would call a typical blues album. It's got one Hey Living could be called almost like a hip hop blues. Million Man March is a reggae. Toxic Love is almost like a smooth jazz. And then we have traditional blues in the form of Real Good Friends and Hole in Your Soul. And then we got Begging for Change. We got social commentary. Yeah.
You've got a fair mix, a fair gumbo of music there on that album. I think it's wonderful. I think it's one of the best you've made.
Yeah, thank you.
What are your hopes and fears for it?
Well, I'm hoping that this album will be success and create enough buzz for us to tour more, especially internationally, and hit more of the principal festivals.
Have you any plans for a European UK tour?
Well, we're working on it. Nothing definite yet, but that's what we're working on.
Well, keep in touch about that.
All right.
Yeah, keep in touch with that. What other projects have you got on just now?
I'm sorry?
What other projects are you on just now?
Well, that's the main thing is we're going to have the album release party on the 21st of November, and we're going to try to get out here on the road and, promote this record. Hopefully, tour this record.
Great. Have you got one last thing to say to Blues Matters magazine readers?
Well, I just say we really, all of us blues musicians, appreciate your support. Please tune in and support. Come out to see us when we come in your vicinity, and just keep on loving the blues.
Excellent. Fantastic. Sounds like a good place to stop there.
All right.
I'll let you take your messages home.
Hey. All right.